Off we go.
Hi, and welcome everyone to the Future Classrooms 2022 with GTech. My name is Roger Slade, and I welcome all of you here along this afternoon to this first session. This session is the first of three that are taking place over the next three Tuesdays. Today's session is all about a product called Merlyn Mind, the first purpose-built AI digital assistant for the classroom. Now, I really appreciate everyone's time today, and I hope you enjoy this session. Let's just have a little look at the agenda. First things first, I'm just going to go through a little bit of an introduction and why GTech believes in this product. And then I'm going to hand over to Francesca Kane, Sales Director of Merlyn Mind, who's going to give you an introduction to Merlyn Mind and Symphony Classroom. Then we're going to hear and see a product demonstration by Levi, who hopefully will wow you with the power and the excitement of using Merlyn Mind in the classroom. Now, throughout this session, please, if you have any questions, ask them, but we're also taking a Q&A at the end. And if you don't want to ask throughout the event or even at the end, by all means, drop us an email at the email address that we will show you at the end of this session. So let's move on to the background behind GTech's vision of Merlyn Mind. So in late 2021, GTech announced that we'd become the first UK distributor of Merlyn Mind. We've been working with Merlyn Mind in the background for around 12 months, looking at the development of it, helping scope out what we thought was the way it could work in the classroom. And it's certainly an extremely exciting tool to see, because to have an AI tool for the classroom that will not only save teachers' time, but it will also add real excitement to the students using the tool in the classroom. And I think it's the first time that we've seen AI tools, we've seen VR tools, we've seen AR tools in the classroom, and most of them have been about teaching and learning. But this one is also about teaching and learning, but it really is the first one, as I said, to make a real difference to the way the teacher can interact with their technology, how they interact with their students, and more importantly, save teachers time, something that we and teachers are always craving for. Giving a little bit more time to the teachers will allow them to focus their time with the students who need that little bit of extra help. So we're really excited that this technology could be the real difference in the classroom. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Francesca. Francesca's going to give you an overview of Merlyn Minds, and then, as I said, we're going to see and hear a really exciting demonstration from Levi. So thanks ever so much, Francesca.
Thanks, Roger. So like Roger mentioned, I'm Francesca Kane. I'm a sales director at Merlyn Mind. I've been with the company over a year and a half. And prior to being at Merlyn Mind, I was with Lenovo for 11 years. So I've been in the technology space for quite a while. And this is absolutely the most exciting thing that I've ever done from a work perspective. So a little bit about us. Merlyn Mind is an artificial intelligence company. And we really are focused on utilizing AI to help teachers navigate the ever-increasing tech complexity of the classroom. We believe AI can do a lot of things, but it cannot replace a teacher. It can, however, assist teachers orchestrate their learning environments, optimize the tools that they're already using today, and we really see the value of helping teachers go deeper into their tech capabilities. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So our company was created by the founders of the IBM Watson Lab for Education. This core team at IBM left to use their experience with AI to really build something revolutionary to assist teachers, because we know that teachers are the most important asset to the classroom. Our company has grown to over 80 people, and we really do have some of the biggest thought leaders in AI and ed tech. And we've also spent a lot of time being committed to evidence and academic research. So we've partnered with UCI and Digital Promise. We've interviewed hundreds of teachers, and we really want to make sure that we're bringing a solution to market where we've listened to teachers and we are helping teachers. So our company absolutely has a commitment to the teaching profession, and we really want to create solutions for people that are building a better future. You can go to the next slide, please. So like I mentioned, our first focus will be the teacher. And the reason that we're focused on the teacher first is we really do think that teachers are extremely overloaded with managing all the different technology that's being thrown at them. And this kind of mass proliferation of technology is not new for teachers. Teachers are constantly having new tools being thrown at them. Here's a BBC iPlayer, here's a new LMS system, here's a new student information system. And it really is fantastic that teachers have access to all of this different technology, but the management of it all has become extremely overwhelming. And because of this, some teachers are feeling demoralized. And this was happening before COVID. With COVID, teachers' lives really have been turned upside down. And in some ways, this has escalated the need for teachers to have to be on the forefront of all the technology that they're using, especially when you're looking at virtual and hybrid classing environments. On top of that, we've also seen recent studies that show about 50% of a teacher's time is not spent teaching, but spent on administrative tasks. So we really see the value of help streamlining all of the different technology teachers are using, and even want to be able to kind of offer the ability to level the playing field of the different ed tech apps teachers are using, regardless of their tech aptitude. So, we've come to this conclusion by doing hundreds of teacher interviews, like I mentioned. And, we want to continue to listen to teachers and really create a classroom orchestration assistant, because we don't want to replace teachers, but we want to be able to help them with their daily classroom orchestration. So if you go to the next slide, we have created the first AI digital voice assistant for education. It's fully contextualized to understand the language of education. So it's not trained on how you open and close your garage door, turn on and off your lights, or play your favorite song by Radiohead, but it's really trained on how you orchestrate learning in the classroom. Our goal is to save time for teachers, to unleash teachers from the front of the classroom, and really to meet teachers where they are. So we want to enable teachers to be using the ed tech applications that they're already using today, just in a simpler, more efficient way. You can go to the next slide. So there's really two big things that our Symphony Classroom does. The first one, like I mentioned, classroom orchestration. So with a teacher's voice or with the use of an intelligent remote, a teacher can set timers and alarms. They can access their Google Drive. They can launch presentations, control media, so they can do things like search videos on YouTube or play videos in Khan Academy. They can perform Google searches. They can switch to different inputs. So for example, if a teacher has a document camera connected to HDMI in the back of the system, they could simply say, hey, switch to my document camera. You can control volume, you can advance slides, you can open Nearpod lessons, all utilizing the teacher's voice or using the intelligent remote control that Levi will show you. And eventually, as we progress through our roadmap, we'll continue to have deeper integrations with existing ed tech applications. And then the second thing that we're really trying to do is improve the teacher's workflow and really encourage instructional innovation. So we want a teacher to be able to fully engage with their classroom without the need to disrupt class by going back to his or her laptop each time they have to open up an application or play a video. Again, all things being done with the teacher's voice or with using the intelligent remote control. Next slide. So what's included? What does the solution look like? It really is an infrastructural AI appliance that is installed into a classroom. So think of it as an ambient computing solution. This could be the hub of the classroom. It's called the Symphony Classroom, and it's powered by our Merlyn operating system. You can mount the Symphony Classroom on a large format display. You can install it onto a wall with a wall mount, or it could simply sit on a teacher's desk, maybe with a Kensington lock. It's got 7 far-field microphones that are built into the unit so that a teacher can be speaking to the system anywhere in the classroom. And another really important factor, and something that sets us apart from other listening or assistants, is that we align with FERPA, COPPA, and GDPR requirements. So that means that we support our education's customers compliance, which means our privacy policy, our data security policy, were all designed to work specifically in schools. And from a spec perspective, like I mentioned, it's got our Merlyn operating system. It's got an ARM core processor that was built specifically for AI and Pro AV. It's got amazing Dolby speakers that come in at around 92 decibels. And then it's got that intelligent remote so that if you're moving through slides or you don't want to say the Hey Merlyn wake word, you can just speak directly into the remote control. Next slide. And so this will be really exciting for Levi to show you. So this is kind of the old way when you think about opening a presentation. Let's say I'm at the back of the classroom. Now that students are one-to-one, we've heard from teachers that they like to spend a lot of time at the back so that they can see what students are looking at on their screens. And now it's time to open up a presentation. The old way is you'd have to, from the back of the classroom, walk to your PC, open the browser, open Google Drive, search for the folder, find the file, open the file, start the presentation. So in that one step, you're doing 8 different micro decisions, 9 different tech interactions, and there's a time impact where with the Merlyn way, if you can switch to the next slide, really to open a presentation, all you have to say is open my presentation on climate and start the presentation. So dramatically less micro decisions, less tech interactions, and less time impacts. And that's really what our goal is to save a lot of time and a lot of those micro decisions for teachers. Next slide, please. And lastly, I just want to mention that we've been doing pilots in both the US and the UK for the past year and a half. We are now at general availability. But what was amazing as part of this pilot program is that we got to hear real feedback from teachers. And so some of my favorite quotes are, with Merlyn, I can literally be in 2 places at the same time. And, I love it because it means I'm no longer looking at a screen, and every moment I'm not looking at a screen is a moment I'm looking at a student. So, thank you so much for your time today and being able to present. And I can't wait to hear your feedback on Levi's demonstration. Thank you very much.
Okay, and just a sound check, do you hear me okay from this device?
Absolutely.
Great, so if you can pin this screen, that will help because you can see the demo in full screen. And what I'm gonna do today is walk through a day in the life of a teacher using Merlyn, the first digital assistant built to bring voice control into the classroom to orchestrate the tools and technology that I'm using. So to lay the land, this is a display. It's an interactive Promethean board, but it could be a non-interactive display. It could be a projector. And this is Symphony Classroom, our proprietary AI hub that Francesca talked about that brings Merlyn into the classroom in a private and secure way. So I now, from anywhere in the room, can give commands to help orchestrate my lesson. Hey, Merlyn, set a timer for 10 seconds. So I can set timers, I can set alarms, I can control what's happening at the front of room display while I'm walking around and engaging with my students and teaching them with the attention that they deserve. I can use the intelligent remote, as Francesca said. I can pause the timer that way. I could say with a voice command, hey, Merlyn, cancel the timer. But I don't just control what's happening on the front of room display, right? So I also now can control my own laptop. So I could switch to it with commands on the remote, right? So I could switch to other displays like a document camera, a microscope, or my laptop, or I can say with voice, using push to talk, if I don't want to say, hey, Merlyn, switch to my laptop. And now you see Symphony Classroom acting as an AI hub, this infrastructural interface that allows me to jump between the front of room display, my laptop, the document camera, whatever else I may be using as part of my instruction. Well, now when I'm on my laptop, critically, I can control the content that's there. You see, I jumped into my laptop and I already have all of these tabs open that I plan to use as part of the instruction today. Well, Merlyn knows that part of modern day teaching ends up being jumping back and forth across a bunch of different really cool websites, right? Content, resources, and tools and applications and quizzes. So I can navigate those with the remote. I could push and simply navigate across any tab that's open, or I can give voice commands. Hey, Merlyn, go to the Go Noodle tab, and I can jump to any open tab, right? So if I have a lot of tabs open and I can't even see them all, I can simply, with a voice command, jump to the exact tab that I need to use. Then when I'm on these applications and websites that I love to use with my students because they're so engaging, I have control over them with voice control and with the remote control, right? So I could say with push to talk or with a hey Merlyn command, play the video. And we can jump into this Go Noodle video to help with the transition. I can turn the volume up and down with the remote or with my voice. Hey, Merlyn, turn the volume up. And then I can pause and play the video with the remote or with voice commands. And I'll show you in a second some really cool things we can do with videos that almost kind of seem mind-blowing now when you bring a digital voice assistant into the classroom. So then let's say after we do this transition video, we present that today we're going to talk about space. I can go back to my presentation. Go to the Google Slide tab. And again, I can do that with a simple command to jump straight there. So I just jumped all the way from the Go Doodle tab over here to my Google Slide tab with one simple voice command. This is an example of jumping to some resource that I already have open. But Francesca showed us in her presentation, an introduction to Merlyn, that often a teacher may not have the resource open. And instead of wasting all the time to going back to the computer and navigating an application and opening a file, I could just open that with a simple voice command. So for example, hey Merlyn, open my presentation on oceans. So here you see Merlyn knows it's me. I'm on my laptop, right? I'm authenticated into my application. So Merlyn goes to Google Drive. It looks for the metadata for those applications for the actual Google Slides named oceans, and it opened it right up without me having to do anything. So again, today we're going to go through the lesson on space. So I'm going to navigate back with one simple click on the remote to my Google Slide tab for the presentation on space and Mars. Well, I now can control that with the remote. So I could push play to go into the play mode on the slides this way, or I could do it with a voice command. If I don't have the remote in my hand from the other side of the room, I could just say, hey, Merlyn, start presentation. Oh. Hey, Merlyn, start the presentation. And I have the ability to start it with a voice command, with a remote command. Again, I can navigate through slides with the remote, or importantly, if I have an interactive display, I can still use the power of interactive displays, right? So we believe in what's called multimodal control, but more or less what it means is do what's easiest for you as a teacher, right? If you want to touch the display, go touch the display. If you want to give a voice command from across the room, do that. Or if the remote is the easiest way to navigate in the moment, use the remote. I can then control embedded content within this presentation. So I can actually say, play the video. And I can control this video inside the presentation. Again, Francesca mentioned there's powerful speakers with the system. So I can turn up the volume and really hear the power of this rocket launching into space. And then I can do things, again, like I mentioned, that almost seem amazing. Go to 1 minute and 30 seconds. So I can jump to a specific timestamp in a video. If I want to cue the video up so that we're only watching the part of the video that's relevant to our class today, I can do that with a simple voice command. Or if we watched a video and we didn't understand a piece of it and the class is still confused, we could rewind. Rewind the video 30 seconds. And I can jump back to the 30-second point or rewind it 30 seconds, whatever is easy for me in the moment. There's also a intelligent remote control. The Air Mouse has on the intelligent remote control. So I can point and click on anything on the screen if I want to. And then I have orchestrational control over the internet, right? So when I'm on this website, I want to watch this video, play the video, but I want to watch it in full screen. Go full screen. Those simple steps that right now cause a teacher to constantly run, more or less run back and forth between the front of room display or their laptop and then turn their back on the class. We're eliminating those with Merlyn's help so that a teacher can be present mentally, kind of without having to think so much about the tech they're using, and visually they can keep their eyes on their students and engage with students while still getting the power of the technology they're using. And it also allows them to then jump into other applications that they want to use, right? So for example, I want to pull up a resource on Khan Academy or Newsela. I can just do that with a simple voice command. Search Newsela for articles of Mars. And Merlyn can jump into Newsela, into Khan Academy, into Quizlet, into Kahoot, into Nearpod, into all these applications I want to use. And I can navigate now the website with the remote control or with voice commands, all from the other side of the room. And I can do things that, again, in the moment, I'd say, oh, this isn't big enough. I need to go and increase the size of the text so the class can see it together. Zoom in. I can do those types of actions now instantly without taking any time to go back to my laptop, open menus, or honestly having to be an expert at all of the menus and the sub features within the menus that not every teacher is an expert at. We surface those and make them easy for teachers with voice control. So one of the really cool things that also is happening now in kind of as a result of bringing interactive AI control into the classroom is we're turning non-interactive displays into an interactive display, right? So for example, if I had a quiz like this where I want students to come up and click on planets, if you have an interactive board, it's amazing. This Promethean board, I can come up and I can say, okay, where's Venus? I think it's the second one. Okay, that's right. Where's Saturn? Oh, another student comes up and says, it's the one with the rings. But if I didn't have an interactive display right now, this kind of interactive content loses its life, right? Well, with the remote control, I can click the air mouse and now turn any non-interactive display into an interactive display. So I can click on Earth and say, okay, there's Earth. Oh, where's Jupiter? Let's click on Jupiter, right? I could give the remote to a student, or I as a teacher could do it. And basically you've just turned any non-interactive display into an interactive display. And it doesn't just work on kind of simple things like clicking the planets there. If I had this interactive environment showing the rover on Mars, I can click and drag and engage with this interactive content with the remote from anywhere in the room, in addition to doing it with touch, right? So again, really bringing the power of touch and voice and remote control together to simplify interactions for teachers and students. One of the amazing things we've seen in our pilots is that the students love having Merlyn in the classroom. First of all, it's just fun for them to experience voice control because they see it in their lives, in their homes, on their phones. But now they can do it in the classroom and they can ask questions. So we'll see teachers give students the opportunity to ask questions. The first question we get from a teacher usually is, boy, are students going to take control? Are they going to be yelling, hey, Merlyn, all the time? So you'll notice that on the Symphony Classroom device, there's a red LED light on right now. That means that Symphony Classroom is not currently listening for the Hey Merlyn command. So when I say Hey Merlyn, nothing happens. But I on the remote, as the teacher, can unmute that. And now any student, I could say, hey, Levi, why don't you ask about the speed of light? And then I, as a student, could say, hey, Merlyn, what's the speed of light? So any question that a student comes up with in the middle of a lesson, a teacher can now offer them the chance to get rewarded for their curiosity, right? And of course, you can always use the functionality of the interactive boards if you have them, right? So we could say, okay, the speed of light is 300 million meters per second. Let's do a calculation to figure out what that is in meters per hour, whatever, right? Then let me just show you kind of where we're headed. So that's really kind of an overview of how you can now control the apps and the tabs and the tools and the resources that you're using. But teachers have a lot of workflows that end up taking a lot of time during their lesson. So for example, let's say that I wanted to add this interactive virtual reality environment to Google Classroom so that students could look at this on their own Chromebooks at home. Well, today that means I have to go to my laptop. I got to copy the link. I need to go to Google Classroom. I need to open the right class in Google Classroom and then paste it in the feed so the students can access it. I either have to do that in the middle of the lesson so that I'm kind of losing the flow of the classroom and the engagement of my students, or I have to somehow remember to do that after class in addition to all the other stuff that I have to do after class. Well, Merlyn's here to help do that in one simple command right now so that I don't have to think about it and I don't have to waste any time with my students. Add to Google Classroom. So Merlyn now takes that link.
Pick a class.
It goes to Google Classroom and it says, which one did you want to add it to? Do you want to add it to your math class or your science class? I can then click on either of these just with my finger, with the remote, or with the voice command. Number 2, I want to add it to my science class. Merlyn then goes into the science class. It takes the link to that resource we were just on. It posts it in the feed, and it tells me it did it.
I shared this link with your Science 1 class.
All of that happened while I'm on the other side of the room, engaged with my students, working on learning and active learning without having to break the flow of the lesson constantly to do that. This is an example of something we call a micro automation or a shortcut. But you think about it as like taking those 10 steps Francesca showed on that slide and compressing them into one simple voice command. And we're doing it for a lot of the EdTech apps that teachers use on a daily basis, right? Go to the Google Slide tab. Here you see I say go to Google Slide tab and there's 2 open. Merlyn is smart enough to help me with that and says, oh, which one did you mean? And I say, oh, I wanted to go to the one on space and Mars, not the ocean one. So I jump right back here. And then I want to open this in Pear Deck, right? And I want to have a synchronous interactive lesson experience with the student and the teachers working together. Well, today to open this in Pear Deck, I have to literally go back to my desk. I have to know how to do it. I have to go to the tools menu, go to the add-ons menu. I have to navigate down to the Pear Deck add-on. I need to open the Pear Deck add-on. Then once the widget loads, I need to click start the lesson, and then I need to click that I wanted a student paced activity, and eventually This presentation opens inside of Pear Deck in a synchronous collaborative environment with a code for the students to type in on their own Chromebooks and access this so that we can collaborate and do the quiz and see the results synchronously. Well, that obviously took a lot of time, know-how, and a lot of time with me not looking at my students, not engaged with them. This is where Merlyn is bringing simplicity and time savings and interactivity into the classroom. Start with Pear Deck. That same sequence of events, right? All happens now with one simple voice command. We're bringing this automation and interactivity and shortcuts into the classroom so that teachers can control the flow of lessons, the engagement of students, all with instant voice ability and without having to really memorize how to do anything. You just talk to the technology like you naturally would. That's a pretty good example of most of the content I want to show you. I'll show you one other thing is often teachers have bookmarks or saved resources or things that they want to access. You can do all of that with simple voice commands as well. Open my bookmark on the speed of light. So whether it's jumping to a bookmark I have or a file or a resource in one of my Google Drive applications or Google Slides, or searching for content on other sites, right? Search YouTube for videos of Mars. Whether I need to go to YouTube or I can search something for Khan Academy or as we showed Newzella, all of this is now possible with very natural voice control. And it's really just the beginning. We're really excited about where Merlyn is going in the future to assist teachers and drive more engaging learning experiences. So I'll pause the demo now. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much indeed, Levi. That was absolutely incredible. So inspiring, so many different things that can be done using Merlyn Mind. Francesca, thank you very much for those insightful words and the vision behind what Merlyn Mind is trying to achieve. Now, just as a thank you to everyone who turned up today, just a quick wrap up at the end. So if we could just let everybody know that if you have an interest in Merlyn Mind and would be interested, look at a proof of concept, if you just contact either myself or my colleague Simon Hall, or you can contact the team email address, which is team@gtecheducation.com, and we can have a discussion with you regarding the opportunities for a pilot. Also, BET 2022 is just around the corner, and more details will be coming out where you can meet up with the team from GTech and the team from Merlyn Mind at BET 2022. But for the time being, thanks ever so much for everyone who turned up today to listen. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thanks all.